Well done. You're lords and masters.
Hello and welcome to day 12 of the Genesis of Androzani Advent Calendar for 2020. We are doing a sequel to a video that we did for last year's Advent Calendar, because last year we did a review of the Pixar film Toy Story, and that was also with my guest today, which is PJ.
Hello, I am PJ.
Yes, and 1 year later we are now doing the next film chronologically, which is A Bug's Life.
We're day 12 this time, not day 16 like last year.
Well, you remembered.
I did.
Well, there we go.
I watched the video.
Yes, so that means it's been, 361 days or something since the last video?
Yeah.
Something
Wow.
like that.
Good maths.
Yes, good maths. But we're going to be doing A Bug's Life, and God, how many Pixar films are there now? There's like 20-something?
Oof. If we do one a year, we will never catch up.
Yeah, no, we won't. No, we won't. We won't catch up ever. Unless Pixar folds and, yeah. Oh, well.
Oh, fingers crossed not for that.
No. Yeah, I definitely think it would be sensible to do them a little bit more often, but I just think 2020 has been a particularly interesting year, to say the least.
Yeah.
Like, imagine, because 1 year ago that when we did this, it was like close to December 2019, and imagine if you told that yourself that 1 year ago everything that would happen this year, you'd just be like, nope, that's not going to happen.
I wouldn't believe any of it. Not a word.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, move on from that. So we are doing A Bug's Life, which is a film that I hadn't seen in fucking years. It had been so long, like I would say minimum 10 years since I last saw it.
10 years, really?
At least. It might have even been in like the 2000s.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I had a period in like 2016 where I just watched all the Pixar films heaps.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me it's been like 3 or 4, but like still was a great watch again, obviously, as always.
I just hadn't seen it in so long. Like there was things I remembered about it, but it had been a very, very, very long time since I watched it properly. So
yeah, for sure.
Unlike Toy Story 1, my memories of it were quite foggy. So it'll be interesting to see what I think of it once we get into the review because of that. But we will start obviously with you. So give your sort of brief initial thoughts on A Bug's Life.
So I probably first saw this film when I was about 3 or 4. So Dad introduced me to all the Pixar films. So as a child, it was one of the films that we watched over and over and over, because even between Toy Story 1 and Bug's Life, there's such an immense upgrade in the animation, especially with the grasshoppers, I find, with their wings and just how they stomp through the cobblestones. Like you could tell that more care is taken in the animation, and the technology has advanced so much. But in terms of, the plot, just a great film, great watch, bit scary at the end there for a young PJ, but later on, definitely appreciate the solid messages. Love the animation, love it to this day. Still a great film. Really underrated for Pixar, I find.
I absolutely agree with you. 1998, visually looks fantastic. But the thing that surprised me the most is that when I'd watched the film recently, I always remember it being a bit, as a child for me, it was a bit forgettable compared to some of the other Pixar films. It didn't really stand out. I think part of that may be to do with the fact that a lot of the characters look similar because they're ants. That might be
fair enough.
But I do remember things about it. Like the scene that I remember the most is the scene with the dandelion. I always remember the scene with the dandelion.
God, that's a gorgeous scene. Yeah.
Like that one's very visually striking, and I obviously always remember the scene with the grasshoppers' first attack as well.
Classic scene.
And I'd also seen memes of a very specific character that we'll get to later.
I think I know the one.
Yeah. But I really couldn't remember what actually happens in the film, like the actual plot. It was very foggy. So I went into it a couple of weeks ago, and I went to rewatch it for this. and I rewatched it, and I didn't have like massively high expectations because it was never really regarded as one of like the all-time best Pixar's compared to some of the others that are around it, like Toy Story, for example, that we've done before. So I watched it, and I was very pleasantly surprised at how well written it was. It's actually got some very interesting subtext in the film. One of them, there's a few different ones, but one of the biggest ones being hierarchy. Because
yeah, absolutely.
In the animal world, and especially in the insect world, hierarchy is everything, because it's all about the food chain. It's all about who's at the top, and then each, like, one insect eats another, that eats another, eats another, and it creates, you know, what we know as the environment. It is the life cycle, essentially. But what I love about it is by anthropomorphizing these animals into people, like as we understand them, it simulates, well, what if these creatures that were kind of like, they thought like humans, what if they lived in a society that was like insects? What if we lived in a society that was like insects? And it showed the consequences of that, and I thought that was bloody clever.
It's extremely clever.
The way that the authoritarian grasshoppers ruled over the ants to create the plot, that was brilliant. That was that, for me, that is the strongest element of this film, is that core hierarchy of power in the insect world. That was great. Yeah. And then also, again, like, that delves into the whole thing of a community with an economy, like with harvesting, and it was obviously, because it's insects, it's not like this advanced culture like we have. It's literally just these little ants that are carrying, you know, these things, these food that they find. You know, it's like foraging. So it's quite tribal as well. It's quite a sort of almost old school way of doing it, because obviously they are insects. But I just, that, for me, that is the strongest element of this film, is the way that it blends that hierarchical structure with insects, but uses it in a way that humans can understand and relate to.
Yeah.
It creates a story out of it, and that's how the characters are born, because then they all are part of that hierarchy, and they all have their own personalities that contribute to that, and then the drama is created from that. So I think that really is the strength of A Bug's Life. And I agree with you, this is an underrated film. This is actually, I would say, it's one of the strongest Pixar films, and probably deserves a lot more praise than it gets.
Does, for sure. Can I touch briefly on the fact that this film was made in a very similar, if not probably the same year as Ants, which is, I think, is a I think it might be DreamWorks or Sony or something. I've only seen it.
It's DreamWorks, because they did, it was like just before they did Shrek.
Yeah, and they've got but can we just appreciate that it's pretty much the same plot, or at least very much similar themes, but Pixar just does it phenomenally better.
Yeah, Ants is garbage.
It's not good.
And if you want to talk about visual effects, it's rough.
Yeah, that's rough. Especially the ants are so ugly, and then there's the buff. All I remember is the buff ant, the one who's like twice as big as the others, and he's got just like, the only way you can tell is he's got a big triangle-shaped chest.
Oh yeah, it's awful, and they are so lucky that they came out with Shrek right after that to make up for it.
Extremely lucky.
Yeah, because otherwise they might have folded.
They may have, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, ants is a travesty. But thankfully, we're not talking about ants. And I probably, unless some patron is really, really, really desperate and wants to request it, I doubt I'm ever going to review ants on this channel. I don't have any
I'll review
motivation
ants with you. If you get a very generous patron, I will review ants with you.
I mean, I've reviewed some pretty bad stuff on this channel, so I can't imagine it'll be comparable to that. But
no.
Yeah, like I don't have fond memories of it. Like with A Bug's Life, I never had negative memories. I just couldn't remember much. But with Ants, I specifically remember, no, I didn't like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Although I'm kind of hoping someday it becomes a meme. That would be funny.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been memes of it in the past, and I'm sure there'll continue to be memes in the future.
There's memes of the Bee movie.
God, let's not even get into that.
Oh, jeez, that's a weird one. All right, let's move on from that crap.
Let's.
So the best way we can dive into the specifics of this film is to get right into the characters. So we start with Flick, who is the main character of this film. Though, funnily enough, he doesn't actually
Indeed.
appear until quite a few minutes into it. A lot of the
True.
other characters are introduced first. But Flick is our main character in this film. He's a bit bumbling, but he's well-intentioned. And I think he makes for quite a strong point of view character. What is your thoughts on Flick?
Obviously, in the start, he's portrayed as like a scientist that is failing. Obviously, like he's got his inventions and he's sticking by his inventions, but none of them work. But I think very quickly into the film, it's more like a lovable idiot that actually has good ideas, but no one listens to him because he's just a lovable idiot. Like that's who he is.
He's a society, like not sorry a technologically progressive ant. There we go.
Exactly.
He has ideas that would benefit them, but because they're not working, no one wants to believe him, and all the old people are like, "Oh, you shutty, you're messing around. You're not doing it the way we want you to."
Exactly, and for an ant society, obviously these ideas don't work. You know, they've done these same things. They've walked the same path for generations. As you can tell by the elderly ants, which is an upsetting image when you watch it back as an adult. Just Flick, I find, is a very relatable and very, I guess, touching character because he's got all these ideas, and you can see that he genuinely means well and he genuinely has good ideas, but they don't get listened to, and obviously it is arguably his fault that the grasshoppers plunged them into this this horrible, almost need for anarchy. But then by the end, he more than makes up for it by giving them their freedom. And I think he's a great protagonist, especially early on in these Pixar films. These protagonists are very relatable on a personal level, and Flick is absolutely a image of that.
Yeah, I think I think he's one that deserves a bit more praise because he. I think it might just be because, again, visually speaking, the ants in this film, they all look quite similar, and so they sort of have this collective. This film sort of has a collective visual style, and unless of course you're talking about the I don't know what you call it, the Circus Act, because they all have very distinct visual looks, but like the grasshoppers and the ants all look quite similar, and therefore they blend together a bit. Whereas with other Pixar films, the main characters tend to be a bit more distinct, which is probably why they're more memorable, especially for young people. But I thought Flick was actually a really good character, and I really liked, again, like how his whole character was motivated behind this thing of he wants to help advance society, but obviously with experimentation comes trial and error, and more often than not he's finding a lot of mistakes in his experiments, and people are getting upset because he's causing trouble, and they wanted to banish him for that. But then of course that rounds off with when he finds this the Circus Act, and they help construct this giant bird that it reminds me of what's it called? The thing from Greece. Not the film, not the film Greece, but like from ancient Greece. What's it bloody called?
The Trojan horse.
The Trojan horse. It reminded me of a Trojan horse. Like it's like a
It
fake,
is a bit.
Yeah, it's like a fake giant like threat.
And you fill it with ants and throw it at grasshoppers. That's what they did in Greece, didn't they?
Yeah, they do it with people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a Trojan horse, except it's a giant bird, and it's in the shape of a bird that they already saw earlier in the film.
It's a very clever idea.
And I thought that, I just liked the way that this ant government of the colony had this they had it out against him. They were like, well, punishing him would be good because it means we can banish him, which means we can get rid of him, which means we can get on with it. Because basically the whole conflict around it comes from the fact that Flick accidentally lets the entire resources drop into the lake.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's their whole season's worth of food that they're offering to the grasshoppers. Like, he's just gotten rid of it. What are their other options than to start again?
Yes.
But Flick's an innovator.
Of course, but it's, again, like, this whole thing of the ants having to gather for the grasshoppers, it's borderline slavery. It's
borderline.
It's pretty much.
It's immensely slavery.
Yeah,
like
it's pretty much slavery when you think about it. I mean, the grasshoppers aren't there to enforce it when they're doing it. They only come every now and then to collect what they get. But it is.
But it's an imagery of protection. But they're not being protected. They're threatening them if they don't give them the food.
Essentially, it's like, we will allow you to live if you give us what we want. Yeah,
which is, it's pretty much slavery.
It's pretty much slavery. And so, so that they spend an entire season collecting for the grasshoppers so that they can be allowed to live. And Flick accidentally drops it all into the lake, which is such a frustrating moment. You just watch it like, no, stop.
It's definitely like a heart-wrenching moment almost.
Yeah, I know. It's like that moment when I was at your house and I was building a card tower and our friend dropped his phone on my card tower and it fell over.
That's such a classic him move.
He's been on this channel, actually.
Oh, has he?
In more ways than one.
Ooh, very intriguing.
We're talking about Daniel, by the way. People who've seen this.
I thought so, yeah.
People who saw the 500 subscribers live stream saw the video of him dropping the glass bowl.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's a great video.
He let me show it. I was like, Daniel, are you sure? He's like, nah, everyone needs to see it. It's hilarious.
It's a good video.
But anyway.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so I think Flick's a great main character. The only thing I would say I was a little bit iffy on was the romance with Atta. I thought was slightly underdeveloped.
Yeah, it was underdeveloped. Like you could tell it was a plot point that they wanted to explore, but maybe for certain constraints they couldn't quite get there until.
It's just so generic.
Yeah, it's extremely basic Princess and the Pauper kind of thing. But I mean, at least it's so underdeveloped to the point where it doesn't really get in the way of the plot too much.
No, it doesn't. It's just sort of like there's a bit of tension at the start of the film, and then at the end when he saves the day, he's like he goes back to being a bit awkward again, and then everyone gives them sideways looks.
Yeah, exactly. But at least they don't end up with like a cliche marriage or anything like that. Like. Yeah. It's simply just like, hey, there's this tension.
That was now it's gone. That was one of my favorite things about Mr. Bean's Holiday, was that the romance with Sabine, where they're at the beach, and if it was any other film, like it'll be like the two main characters kissing at the beach, and that's the end of the film. Whereas Sabine just looks at him, and then Mr. Bean looks at Sabine and just does a thumbs up.
That's honestly what he would do.
It's so in character. And it's so British.
Extremely.
Bean Sabine.
I haven't seen that film in so long.
Oh yeah.
We should do a review of it.
Funnily enough, earlier in this advent calendar, I reviewed something that had the kid from Mr. Bean in it.
Okay.
But he's now an adult, and it was like a really serious drama, a really serious political drama.
Something to put on the CV for sure. Mr. Bean's Holiday.
Yeah. In fact, that actor who was in Mr. Bean's Holiday has been in a few things that I've really liked, actually.
Cool.
He was actually in a Doctor Who episode from the most recent series that I really liked. It was my favourite one from Series 12. So there you go.
So he's got a good career ahead of him.
Oh yeah, he's been in some good stuff.
That's great. That's really cool.
Yep. And he was in the one that I reviewed on this calendar a few days ago, well, when this comes out, is a political drama by Russell T Davies that he was in, and it's his specific storyline is my favorite from that drama. It's incredible.
Cool.
And I never thought that the kid from Mr. Bean would be such a brilliant actor.
I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Of course, of course. He was good in that one too. Anyway, we're getting way off topic.
Here we are, definitely.
So yeah, Flick is very good. I like his chemistry with Dot as well, because Dot's one of the only characters that still believes in him.
Yeah, the whole rock allegory, I guess, is great. It's like throughout the film, the callbacks to it at the end with the circus bugs.
I love that joke. It's a really funny joke where it's like, there's a seed that grows into a tree, and then she's like, but it's a rock, and he's like, that's not the point.
I know, it's a rock! Yeah, that's very good. And the whole, like, is this an ant thing, and then is this a circus bug thing? That was good callbacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you get the big triumphant moment where he comes out of the burning bird and stands up to the grasshopper. Yeah,
that's such a it's such an intense, powerful scene.
I never thought. I was thinking this is reminding me of like an Avengers film, like of how intense it was. You know,
yeah.
Like when
especially when all the ants link up, it's like
exactly. Oh. Yeah, I know. It was like holy shit, this is like Portals from Endgame. It's like, and I am Iron Man. You know. Yeah, it was crazy.
Just as intense.
Bug's life. The inspiration. Anyway, but yeah, that was really cool. And then, we'll get to Hopper. There's things I gotta say about Hopper after obviously.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Flick was a really good main character, really good point of view character, and yes, it does lean on a few cliches. Like, it's the misunderstood bumbling fool that is well-intentioned, and then in the end he proves himself. But
for sure,
I think it works well.
And definitely.
He's very likable. He's a very likable guy. He's very funny. He's funny.
Yeah,
funny character.
Definitely a good comic relief.
Definitely. But there is more than just Flick in this film. We also have Princess Atta as well.
So I'm going to start off with some initial thoughts that are not so serious. So the first one was, as a kid, I always thought her skin was really nice.
What, the purple?
Yeah, just like the texturing on her face skin. For some reason, I remember it so vividly as being really nice.
It's very soft, isn't it?
It is. It's got some sort of different texture to Flick's skin that I really appreciated.
Maybe she's been having some ant aloe vera.
Maybe aloe vera.
Yeah.
So my second thing was that she does fall into this trope that animated films have of not being able to distinguish what the men and women in anthropomorphized characters look like. So they just make the female characters more pink and give them tits.
Well, in this case, she didn't really have them. She had a big hips, though.
No, yes, she's got big hips, and she's slightly more pink, and she's got a crown, and that's the only way you can tell that she's a female. Like, it happens in Lilo and Stitch, happens in so many films, but I just think that's an interesting trait that I too much just thought of now.
But that's the thing, though, that's the thing, though, to us humans, like, it's really hard to tell the difference between male and female with animals. So it's kind of like, well, how do you do that in an animated film?
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
Also, I could be wrong on this, but like ants are asexual, right?
Yeah, they've got the one queen that just pumps them out, I think.
Okay, that's a really weird thought.
Yeah. I mean, it's not completely accurate to the Bugs Life universe.
No.
That
no.
Atta just pumps them out. Well, she's the princess, though, I guess. So, what was the queen's name? I suppose she pumps them out.
Oh, she's just called Queen. That's all.
I thought so. Yeah. So yeah, Atta will just pump them out eventually.
Oh dear, poor woman.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
See, this is the thing though about Pixar, is that when they anthropomorphize these things, it creates this like really funny comedy, because it's like you got humanized versions of these weird things like toys and ants.
Yeah, and then you think about the logistics of it, and it's just odd.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this film is that they're so small that they can carry Jew, and it doesn't pop.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is extremely strange. It's like when they like when the flea, or PT flea, when he's on fire and they just carry the water to him and they throw it on him. That's just I always remember that because just seeing that flea float around in that water, it's just so beautiful.
Yes, but Princess Atta is I actually don't have a lot to say about her, despite the fact that she's a main character.
She's a little bit forgettable and a little bit fickle.
I think maybe because she's not really a big part of like the middle of the film.
No, she's very much at the beginning, kind of like the "I'm mad at you" flick, and then at the end, like "I give you my approval" flick. But she's not really involved in the whole middle scene.
Yeah, there's one bit though that's quite funny though, is when the Circus Act have turned up and they want to leave, and then she's like, "I need to talk to them," and they're not even there anymore. And Flick's like, hold on a second."
Oh yeah, yeah, that is very good. And then they're like already running off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't know, I don't have any issues with Atta, but I think she's not the most complex character.
Well, then again, she's not the most important character. Like, there's no need to flesh her out super far if she's, if she's not really that important other than making the bird and, like, I don't know, part of the circus scene, I guess, when she's talking to Hopper. But other than that, she's not really needed, so she doesn't need to be that fleshed out, I find.
Yeah, it's, the main point is that she's obviously in charge because she's she's the heir to the Queen.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, she's, the romantic interest of Flick as well. And it doesn't really go much beyond that. There's a bit of tension in some scenes with her.
Yeah.
I think there was one bit that I did cringe a little bit. It was one of those really cliche, like, "Don't you put your hands on her" scenes. I was like, oh god, I've seen this 100 times before.
Yeah. I do like that one scene where she's like leaning in with Flick and their antennas get mixed up.
That was funny. That was really funny.
That is funny. Because it does kind of relieve an awkward moment, but it's like, it's very, I don't know, it's a very good way of comedically portraying that with ants.
He's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. So those are my thoughts on Atta.
I think
fine.
The big positive thing I will say is I do think the voice actors for Flick and Atta have good chemistry. I do think they work really well. But I don't.
They work really well.
I don't have a lot to say about her.
Not really as a character, no.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll move on to our main antagonist of this film, Hopper, who is, as a child, was a very scary character for me. Yeah.
Can I just say, immediately intimidating presence in the film, like when the grasshoppers are coming down and busting through the cobblestones, and then he's just walking up and just scowling at everybody. That's immediately scary. Like, that is immediately setting the tone for the grasshoppers, and it carries throughout the entire film.
Yeah, he definitely feels like one of those authoritarian enforcers,
He's extremely, his look is so intimidating and terrifying, and his skin looks rough. Like, I don't know why I'm talking about the texturing for these characters.
Well, it's actually really, he's the most detailed character in the film.
Well, yeah, you can, like, even in this just one picture you're showing, you can see, like, how much detail, like, those little knobbles are, like, put in, and the dry and the flaking of the skin during the film. My most memorable scene with Hopper is when they're at the cantina in the sombrero, and he just, like, he knocks off that, I guess, the feed tube, and, like, all the food comes out, and he says, "This is just one ant, but when all the ants bound together, it's 1,000 ants." And, like, that one guy gets toppled, like, covered in all the food, even though after he was throwing, like, one bit of food at them and it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
It's such a good way to show, like, he is actually scared of
Yeah.
what the ants can do if they all band together. And he needs to make sure that that doesn't happen by any means.
Uh-huh.
And like all of these guys,
he's smart.
yeah,
He understands the system, and he understands that he could be overthrown, but he doesn't want them to realize it. So he's trying to protect his own power, which is
exactly.
It's a very trait of a corrupt authoritarian. That's the kind of thing they understand, that they can be overthrown, but they don't want anyone to know it, and that's why he has to keep his power.
Yeah, he's very clever.
Mm-hmm.
He can see all his I guess minions celebrating and relaxing and chilling because they know they're gonna win. But Hopper understands that they may have a strategy, and he can lose, and that's why he's a great antagonist, because he's informed. He's not just like that one cocky bastard that thinks he's going to win all the time. He's informed and he's calculating, and that is what reinforces his intimidating persona, I guess.
Absolutely. There is unfortunately one slightly awkward thing about Hopper, though.
Oh yeah?
And that's because Hopper is voiced by Kevin Spacey.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So that is awkward.
That is awkward.
But
that is awkward.
Having said that,
fitting. Predator.
Yeah, obviously Kevin Spacey is Kevin Spacey, as you all know. Having said that, though, he is a brilliant actor, and his performance in this film is fantastic. Like, he does play the role.
Don't get me wrong.
Really well.
Yeah, it's intimidatingly well.
Oh yeah, it's just that when I found that out, I was like, oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Like, don't get me wrong, the voice acting is impeccable. Like, he did an incredible job of Hopper in that film. That being said, I don't think we should support Kevin Spacey any longer.
Funnily enough, though, isn't it interesting that he plays an authoritarian in a hierarchy in A Bug's Life, and he ended up being in House of Cards, which is a political drama. Like,
something I've never thought of.
That's actually really interesting.
Maybe he was typecast from Bug's Life.
Yeah. Bug's Life is a great political drama.
If you think about it, it kind of is.
Yeah, for kids. It's for kids, but obviously, it has some really interesting themes in it. Honestly, it does. It really does.
Yeah, definitely. My baby's first North Korea.
Oh dear. Yeah. Hopper was great. He had a great presence. He was very intimidating, but he was also quite funny as well. When he settled down and he wasn't threatening and he was just hanging out, he was actually quite funny. He had a blunt sense of humor. Yeah.
I remember. Do you know how in the Pixar films they always animate the bloopers? I remember him in the animated bloopers were hilarious.
Yes, of course.
But throughout the film, he definitely does have a sense of humor. He plays with the what's the short grasshopper? Yeah, the really stupid one. I don't know his name, but he definitely plays to him, and it's very entertaining.
Yeah, I think it's. I can't remember exactly. I've got all the names written down, but I can't remember exactly what the name is. I'm sure we'll get to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Hopper was a great villain for this, great threat, and again, like I said before, that scene where he first arrives and they all come in through the ceiling, having seen that there's no resources there for them, is great. Yeah,
it's so intimidating, and it does frame the start of the film so well.
Oh, and his death. Oh my god. That is brutal for a kid's film.
Yeah.
That is a brutal death. He gets eaten by one of those baby birds.
Isn't there 3 babies? Or am I?
Yeah. But he ends up in the mouth of one of them.
Yeah, that is also a terrifying death for him.
Oh yeah.
Like to be in the mouth of his worst fear and then also facing 3 of them.
Yes, and that also ties back to the whole thing of like the animal food chain, of like how the grasshoppers are all over the ants, but the birds are all over the grasshoppers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like even the even the most intimidating villains have like things that they're scared of, people that are bigger than them, bigger fish to fry.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrifying scene though.
See, if
the
this
whole
was if this
whole
was
scene at the
if
end.
this was like a film with humans in it, it would be like if Hopper would be like the human, and then the ants would be, I don't know, they would be like cats and dogs or something, or like some kind of like animal that you have to tame, like a zoo animal, and then the birds that eat Hopper would be like, I don't know, asteroids or global warming.
I was thinking sharks, like Jaws, but
like sharks,
climate. Honestly, climate change is more scary.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, I mean, you can stop sharks. Ugh.
Oof. Hashtag political.
Oh dear. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can stop climate change, but it takes a lot more effort to stop climate change than sharks.
True. Yeah, I would
and
agree
also,
with
there's
that.
a lot of sharks that won't kill you.
It's true. Yeah,
I
you just have to not bother them too much, like bees.
Yes. Whereas climate change is 100% lethal. Anyway, let's not talk about that.
No.
God, this is the second time this advent calendar has gotten political.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move on from Hopper.
Who's next?
Who's next? Dot is next.
Yep.
Yes.
I do like Dot.
Interestingly, Dot kind of has a slightly similar character trait to Nemo in that she has like she's trying to grow wings, and Nemo has like the like broken fish fin, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah,
Except
I definitely do see that. He's got his what does he call it?
My
His lucky fin.
Yeah.
His lucky fin.
Except
yeah.
the difference between them though is that for Dot it's that she hasn't grown yet. It's that she's a child that can't do what adult ants can, whereas Nemo is a special needs child with a body condition.
Yeah. But I like Dot's whole development throughout the film, like with her like she knows she's living in her sister's shadow kind of thing, but she's still got all those friends in the like Girl Scout group, and they're all like so positive and optimistic, and she's determined to, like, she believes in Flick. Like she's obviously got her head screwed on right. She's just not in the right place for it at the moment. And then at the end, when she becomes a princess officially, I feel like she deserves it.
I really like that scene where she finally flies.
Yes, yep, that is a great.
Yeah.
That is a great scene.
Yeah.
Where she's getting away from that like psychotic grasshopper. That shit is scary. That guy was terrifying.
Yeah. But I could be I'm not 100% sure if it's the correct scene I'm thinking of, but I believe when she flies away is when that bird comes, right? It's when that first bird comes. Yeah. And then that's actually a really great action scene. And then
oh god, yeah.
I love the bit where the whole Circus Act fly Dot to safety, and the bird like stands on one of those like thorn bushes. I think it's called. It's like,
oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Where that like that whole are you talking about the whole like when Heimlich gets stuck in the cracks?
Yeah.
And like
yeah. But
yeah.
But like at the very end, the bird tries to get them, and it stands on one of those really sharp things and flies away.
Instantly retracts. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a great scene, and it paints good imagery towards later on where they're like where everyone's scared of the birds. So when the birds come, you got to get away.
Oh yeah, set up and payoff is an essential part of storytelling, I think.
110%, yeah, for sure.
Yes, of course. It's how our brain calculates stakes.
Oh yeah.
It's natural for us to have an understanding of what stakes are in an intense scene, which is often needed in a climax of a film, and to have a setup before that then allows you to associate something. Like if we saw the birds at the end, without having seen the bird earlier in the film, we wouldn't be as impacted by it. But because we
Sure.
had that set up, the payoff is much more intense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, that's
It's a really
cool.
good writing tool. But that whole action scene's fantastic.
I love that scene. That scene is so good.
Yeah, and I just again, like you said, I love the whole analogy about the seed that grows into a tree. About Dot, and that she's gonna.
But it's a rock. But then she reinforces that at the end. Yeah, she and I. That's also like a really nice personal touch to show that her and Flick are actually really good friends instead of her just being, living in her sister's shadow. She's actually one of Flick's closest friends.
Of course.
I just think she does that extremely well at the end there.
Yes, of course. I suppose one other thing that they do to distinguish female ants is they have eyelashes.
Oh yes. Yeah. It's definitely a cliche trope, but it works. I mean, if it works, it works. Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
But yeah, I didn't notice that until just now when you've said. I can see in the picture she's got those eyelashes.
Do ants even have eyelashes?
They do not. They do not need them.
Yeah, that's so funny. So the next character we have is Queen.
Oh yes, I like her little aphid.
Yes, of course, and she's got a scoop of dew.
Yeah. It's like she does remind me of the actual Queen. Just like she's so old and she's been there for so long. And does she really do much? Nobody really thinks so. But she's got her pets and she's got her wine. Yeah.
She's got the most over the top wrinkles as well.
Oh, they're so pronounced. Like those bags go beneath her chin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic boomerang.
Boomerang. Wow. Yeah, but she's definitely more comic relief than anything else. But the scene that I like with her is when the mantis and the moth are like doing that magic trick. Or I guess it's not a magic trick, it's an illusion or something. But she gets in the Chinese takeaway box and then they take her out to safety to try and like ward Hopper off her scent. That is a great scene. Very, very
Very
mysterious and spooky and very well thought out. Yeah.
Absolutely. But you are right, the Queen is mainly for comic relief.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's there for comic relief.
As are all the old ants. It's just so weird because it depends on the breed of ant, but some ants only live for like 1 year.
Yeah. So like, how old are they? They must be like 11 months old.
How long is a season for an ant?
Yeah.
Is it 3 months? I don't know.
Yeah. Why would it be? Like, do they just change princesses?
It's like
every couple months.
It's like a phase between like a sunny day and a rainy day a season.
Oh, I suppose it might be. Like then the whole film takes place in like 2 or 3 seasons because the leaves are falling at the start and then there's rain.
I don't know how it works. It's so weird.
it's bizarre.
And then after that, we now move on to the Circus Act, and we start with the most iconic character of that, and the one that's always in the memes, and that is Heimlich, the caterpillar. Yeah, I
love Heimlich. He's definitely 100% comic relief. That German accent you could potentially portray as racist. But I like his thought that he's like one day he's going to be a butterfly. It's it's obviously very close to trans allegory, which I didn't really think of until years later. But we support him and his want to be a butterfly.
I'm a beautiful butterfly.
Yeah, and like I like how at the end he's pretty much just the same, but he's got these tiny pathetic
it's one of those
wings.
it's one of those like satisfying character endings that you didn't know you were gonna get, and you were thankful that you did get anyway.
Yeah, or like when he's tempting the bird, and he's on the stick insect, and he's like, "Oh, look at me! I'm a worm on a stick." that is, it's just beautiful. Like they are comedians by trade, the circus bugs, but that just always gets me is the worm on a stick.
Yeah, Heimlich is just gold, pure gold.
Yeah, especially for memes as well, because I've seen people meme about a fleshlight that looks like him.
I haven't seen that.
It's dreadful. You don't want to see that.
It's terrible.
It's just one screen cap of him with his mouth open, and someone with like a text post saying like, "God, I wish I could fuck that."
Oh no!
It's so bad.
No,
it's so bad.
that's awful. But yeah, that whole scene at the very end of the film where he's inside his like chrysalis.
Oh yeah, he's in his cocoon. Chrysalis, yeah, thing, yeah.
And he pops his head out.
It looks so wrong when his little head pops out.
Yeah, and then he comes out. He's got these little butterfly wings on this fat caterpillar body.
Yeah, and he has changed color. He goes from like a green to like a bluey purple.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's so great because it's such a change of expectations. Like you expect him to be you genuinely expect him to be a beautiful butterfly, and then he's just a horrible, hideous caterpillar with tiny wings.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
He's so good.
Oh, Heimlich's brilliant.
I love him a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to remember all the different jokes he has because he's so many.
Yeah. The main ones I can remember are the worm on a stick, and then him in the pub where he's like sipping on the dew, and he's like, "Someday I'll be a beautiful butterfly, then it will all be better." Oh, and the candy corn. I remember when he's like trying to do the run around as a sunflower, and he's the bee.
Yeah.
And he sees one of the flies in the audience with a candy corn. And he says, "Oh, candy corn!" Yeah, he's such a great personality for the film.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
and it's like he's one of those like he's comedically fat characters that doesn't go too far. Like it doesn't repeat itself too much.
Yeah, like he's. Yeah.
There's something that can happen is that people can go like too far, and it just becomes annoying because you keep repeating the same jokes over and over. But they constantly would like slightly change it every time they did it, which was good.
Yeah, it's not just being fat is the joke.
Yeah, it was situational comedy. It was like Heimlich sees a new thing that he wants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if anything, it's ADHD more than him being fat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's done this to himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, great. Then right after him, we have Francis.
Oh,
Ladybug.
Francis. I do like Francis a lot. The fact that Francis is a ladybug and has, and so everyone thinks he's a woman, but and so he's got this very toxic masculinity personality about him. Until the Girl Scouts come out and like, you know, read him the poetry and show him everything, like treat him really nicely when he's got his broken leg, and he becomes like their mum, and it's very sweet.
Yeah, of course.
It's good character development.
Yeah, but I did think it was like at the very start with the circus. It was quite funny how he's like Francis is like, you think just because I'm a ladybug that makes me a lady? It's just getting so annoyed by them, like all those I can't remember exactly what the animals called, but the ones that were flirting with Francis.
Oh, they were flies.
Yeah, the flies. The flies are flirting with the ladybug. They're like, "Hello, ladybug."
Yeah, but you like if you look at Francis, he's got the eyelashes just like that trope. But that start when he flies over to the flies, because they're flirting with him, and he like gives them the eyes and like the look away look. That is I don't know. I think he plays that very, very well.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's almost I don't know if I'm completely accurate in saying this, but I feel like Francis, because it's a circus act, Francis is almost like the drag queen character, you know?
I suppose so.
I feel like that might be what the intention was, because you do
unintentionally.
Unintentionally,
Yeah.
because
Well-
the thing is, because drag queen like drag queens are like a stage act in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
So that might be
Oh,
what
that's
it's
true.
referencing, you know?
Yeah, I suppose they are referencing that, but in this case, he didn't choose to be a drag queen.
Yeah, although the creation of this character, I imagine, was a very simple ha-ha moment where they're like, well, what if the ladybug wasn't a lady?
Yeah, I mean, it was 1998. Like,
Yeah,
it wasn't exactly the most progressive.
I know, but it's a very simple thing of like, the ladybug is not a lady, and that's the joke.
Yeah, exactly. That was probably the reason why Francis was included in the first place.
But the thing is like Francis is has quite a lot of pretty features. Like Francis has like nice lipstick and like eyelashes and has a nice freckle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And he's
a
like,
beauty spot.
He's like,
yeah.
I'm not a lady.
Yeah. He does have the deep voice to complement it though as well. The very raspy voice.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, Francis warms as he meets the Girl Scouts.
Yeah, he becomes a much less angry and much more just generally happy dude, which is very cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
Mm.
And then after Francis, we have Manny, who I believe is the what's that insect called again?
Mantis.
Mantis. It's like a mantis. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a praying mantis.
Yeah.
I like how he's super old and senile, but still tries his best to do all his tricks.
Yeah. He's like the old hand, you know. He's been at this game for a long time.
Yeah, doesn't he get like segments of a raspberry thrown at him?
I mean, the entire circus act is just a brilliant part of this film. When Flick first finds them, I just couldn't stop laughing. It's so funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is a great scene because Flick only sees the heroic parts.
It's honestly, it also like it just doesn't stop. It's like 20 minutes of situational comedy non-stop. I was blown away by it.
Yeah,
I don't
even at the end where Francis pulls, I forget the stick insect's name, but he pulls the stick insect out of the rubble, like Sword in the Stone. Like even that is just a brilliant small joke.
Oh yeah. Pulling like the sword from the stone.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
Isn't the Sword from the Stone like a Disney film?
Yeah, exactly. But of course, that's the only thing that Flick sees. You know, like he sees them start this brawl, and then he sees the Sword and the Stone. Like it's very like he's missed this whole part in between where they just get beat the shit up. Yeah.
Mantis actually kind of reminds me of when I saw not Mantis, Manny, or whatever. When I saw Manny, I was reminded of Kung Fu Panda for some reason. He looks like a Kung Fu Panda character.
He looks well. There's a Mantis in Kung Fu Panda as well.
Yeah. Is it Mantis is played by Dustin Hoffman, right? I could be wrong on that. No, Dustin Hoffman's Dustin Hoffman's bloody what's the orange cat thing?
Tigress? No, she's a woman.
No, that's Angelina Jolie. I mean the one that trains
Po.
Is it like Master Shifu or something?
Shifu, yeah. Uruguay is the turtle.
Hoffman, yeah.
Oh, really?
Shifu
Wow.
is Dustin Hoffman. Mantis is because I know the monkey is Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
The one with the
You
cookies.
saved me.
The one with the cookies.
Monkey.
I need to know this now. It's bugging me. I need to know the answer. Mantis Panda was.
He only has a few lines, I think.
Oh, it's Seth Rogen.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. And then,
okay.
And then I think he gets replaced by Max Koch, in a sequel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
But in the first film, it's Seth Rogen. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah. So
why are we talking about Kung Fu Panda?
Because there's a Mantis in it. There's also a Mantis in this.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. So I was reminded of that. But yeah. Just again, like another circus act character that had his own little personality. You know.
Yes. So different. Such a different personality, which went really well.
But there's just so much like golden comedy that comes from all these different people.
Yeah, they definitely have all them. I think the scene when Manny gets raspberry segments thrown at him is my favorite. Yeah, they definitely all just have their own moments that work so well.
And now we move on to what is, apart from Hopper, the best looking character in the whole film is Gypsy. Especially
her name is Gypsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wings just, for animation, it looks real to me.
Oh yeah, like even these days you probably couldn't do much better on like gorgeous looking animation wings in a purely CG film.
But yeah, Gypsy, I remember seeing it, I was like, that was made in 1998?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember about Gypsy thinking that Manny was like punching above his weight because like she's like animation wise she's just gorgeous, like design wise, and like you can see like they tried to make that apparent, like that she's supposed to be gorgeous because she's got like the eyeshadow, she's got the fluffy what's it, like breast piece, I guess, and then she's got curves for whatever reason, even though she's a moth.
Yeah, I mean, who said that moths couldn't be better looking than butterflies?
True. Yeah, she's just
that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think largely she, other than her looks, she's rather forgettable.
Well, yeah, because her main purpose in the plot is to distract Hopper with her wings.
Yeah, exactly, and like, but she does have a good. The one line I remember from her is when they're doing a stage show and Manny is walking towards the stage, and the only line she says is, "The stage is the other way, dear." And he turns around immediately and walks the other way.
Yeah.
It's just great. Like she's the sane one and she knows it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Gypsy is more so a technological achievement than a character for me.
Yeah, exactly. But she, like, that's not to say she's a bad character.
No, of course not.
She serves her purpose really well.
Yeah, and just again, like I said, I'm repeating the same thing over and over again, but I just can't believe that was made in 1998. That is an astonishing feat of CGI.
Especially that one scene when she's in front of the moon. That is, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous scene.
Yeah, it's like a moth that almost looks like a peacock in the way the whole colour.
Yeah.
Most
for sure.
Most moths that we know in New Zealand look disgusting.
Yeah, they're horrible. But like you see pictures of some moths and they're just stunning.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they're moths. Like, do they need to be that good looking? Who knows?
I mean, it's just a I suppose a genetic thing, right?
Yeah, it'll be like a survival of the fittest kind of thing. Like the most attractive ones have these patterns to ward off prey or something.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can genetically modify all moths to look as good as Gypsy.
That would be ideal because I don't like our current moths in New Zealand.
They're just these like brown, just
yeah.
I don't like.
They're just neither do I.
Yeah.
But Gypsy is a good moth.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, Manny is punching. Next we have Slim, who is the stick insect.
Slim, that's his name.
Literally a stick.
Yeah, and I like how he's a thespian. Like you can tell he's a proper actor, but he only gets cast to play the stick.
Yeah, he's typecast. He's typecast as a stick.
He's literally typecast. Yeah, that is the absolute funniest part about him. Mm-hmm. It's that he's typecast, like, and fairly so, I think.
Yeah, of course. But, what else could he do?
Yeah, you can't really do much. I don't think that even gets resolved in the end. I think he just ends up being the stick always, which is perfect comedy. Perfect comic relief.
Of course, yeah, he's a very consistent character.
Yes,
but like you said,
all you can say about
best scene for stickers when they pulled like the sword from the stone. That is so funny.
Yeah, I was going to say the runner-up for best scene with Slim is when he has a sword in another scene, and they ask him to like play it up a bit. And so when he's getting swung around, he says swish, swing, and then lunge. That is brilliant because that's like all like they're asking him to play it up, but what else can you do? You're a sword. Just saying the word lunge for some reason just made me laugh.
Oh, stick bug dance.
Oh god, that's a good meme.
Yeah. I don't even have anything else to say, but it was very good comic relief.
Yeah,
I couldn't even
100%.
find a good picture of him. Like, there's just no pictures of him anywhere. He's just too tall.
Yeah.
He's too tall for the frame.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is a very intimidating looking picture you've picked.
Yeah, it's really weird, actually.
He looks like he's going to grab you.
The next character is Rosie.
Her name is Rosie?
I believe so. Yep.
Interesting.
Rosie's a spider, right?
She is a spider. Indeed, she's a black widow, because I remember she made that joke about being a widow's widow.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a black widow spider.
Yeah. She's great. I like I like her little comic moments. Like, again, she's not a super fleshed out character, but she doesn't have to be. But there's that scene in the carnival where they're doing the flaming death, and she mishears it, and she quickly does her
the flaming death
spider web.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I feel like we need to talk about that.
Yeah, that whole sequence was it was such a massive misunderstanding, and it
so chaotic.
Yeah.
So chaotic. But the fact that she does her little spider web and PT goes right through the middle it's beautiful comedy.
Yeah, it is.
Because
really
she's so anxious about getting it right, and she's blindfolded, and and she gets it right, and she's so proud, but he goes right through the middle.
I just love that how, though, it was like a bad mousetrap setup, where essentially everyone who did it did their roles really well, and all of the entire connection worked because the timing was slightly off. And
the pill bugs were mad at each other.
Yeah, of course. But because the timing was slightly off, it didn't end the way that was planned. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And when the fly paper like falls down and entirely gets engulfed, that is just gorgeous, because PT is like, he's really happy because somehow he's gotten out of it scot-free, and then just the fly paper just lights. Gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then after that we have PT Flea, who was the victim of that scene.
The token John Ratzenberger.
Yes.
Yep. And I think he does this incredibly well. Like, there's no better person than than him to play PT Flea. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing where, like, obviously they had to put him inside the drop of gin. That's just that was classic.
It's incredibly funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And I love how he's wanting to impress the crowd so much, and everything just goes wrong.
Yeah, everything goes wrong. You can tell, just like, nothing has gone his way, ever. But I guess the thing I want to say about PT Flea is that I appreciate how well he's animated. His jumping is exactly that of a flea. It's so erratic and erratic and quick, and that's how he moves. He can't walk. He's just all over the place. Yeah, like a flea, and it's just great.
Yeah, but despite that, he has this anthropomorphized human effect to him as well.
Yeah, I hate how I can see he's got like a weird mustache. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, he only cares about the money.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
Yeah. It's that level of the Circus Act, he's all about the money.
Yeah, for sure. But he's very well portrayed.
He's got those really disgusting hairs on the back of his neck.
God, yeah, it's just it's so foul.
Yeah. God, imagine though, because you know how Disney loves doing their bloody live action remakes of everything. If they did a live action of this, it would be so gross to watch, because it would just be like these insects in in 4K.
You know who would play him though? Is Danny DeVito. Like, that would be an incredible typecast for Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I remember when Danny DeVito played the Penguin
Oh God,
in
yeah.
Batman. Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, PC Flea's great. And then we have Dim, who's the big. I mean, it kind of looks like a rhino, but he's not a rhino, right? What
No,
is
he's
he?
a Oh, he's a stag beetle.
Stag beetle. That's right. He's a yeah. I was trying to remember exactly what it was. He's basically the vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. And like his name fits his personality. He's dim. Like, he's not bright.
Yeah, of course.
But I like how he's just like his whole personality is pretty much just I'm the big guy. Like I'm here to be big, but like there's also that scene where Rosie whips his foot and he cries. So it's a good way to show like he's actually
he's a big softie.
He's a big softie. And like when he's letting all the girls run under his belly and he laughs.
Yes.
That's a good scene. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about him other than he's a big guy and he flies and he's a softie and he's lovely.
I mean, they needed a vehicle.
Exactly, yeah. Who plays him? Is it the guy who plays Robert from Everybody Loves Raymond?
I'll check.
Brad something. Brad
Dim
Garrett.
in A Bug's Life is played by...
I reckon it's Brad Garrett.
It is Brad Garrett, you're right.
Yes.
Well done.
Yeah, he's got such a good voice for it too. Just play a dumbass.
Well, it's funny because bloody Ray Romano played Manny in Ice Age, so they're both
Yes.
in animated films.
Yeah, I suppose. Although Brad Garrett did not get to reprise his role as Dim as many times as Ray Romano got to reprise his role as Manny.
Yeah.
But yes, Dim is a good character.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then after that we have Tuck and Roll.
Those are such great names. What can you say about them? They're feisty foreign kill beetles. Like that's what they are.
I just love how they have like their hand gestures, but they have all three of their hands on one side do the same gesture.
Yeah. Oh, what's it? Yeah, what's it when they like that one of them gets on top of the other and to shake the woman's hand and foot?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, like straight off the bat, they've all got such great personalities. And when like Flick's telling them the story, and they're like listening and they just laugh, and then in whatever language they speak, they're like, "Did you understand what he was saying?" And they're like,
yes, of course, with all their arms.
Yeah. So how did they end up like that? Like, how do they end up in a circus when they can't speak a lick of English?
It just happens, you know.
I suppose it does.
Refugees, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose it does. I do like Tuck and Roll.
Yeah. There's always going to be a twin act in everything.
Yeah. And these guys play it really well, I think.
And then we have the character that you were talking about before. The other grasshopper called Molt.
Molt. That's a fair name because at the end, doesn't he get so scared he just sheds his skin completely?
Yes, he does, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, if I'm being honest, I think he's probably my least favourite character.
Yeah, he's it's not that he's poorly written, it's just that he's really annoying.
Yeah. I know that's meant to be the point, but the problem that I have with it is it kind of undercuts Hopper a bit.
It really does. It's not, and like Hopper's already such an intimidating character. Like having this guy undercut him with like doesn't he tell the ants that Hopper's afraid of birds? Like that he essentially just ruined Hopper's whole plan.
Yeah, I know he's a nuisance.
Yeah, exactly. He's a nuisance.
Yeah, and he's there's just some scenes that where like he really undercuts some of the tension, and I'm like, how am I supposed to take this seriously if Molt's just going to cut in every few seconds with his little jokes? You know, he just felt out of place for me in the story. That's the problem I had.
Yeah,
So
like he wasn't needed as a comic relief. Like they've already got all these comic reliefs,
yeah,
but he's just there,
there's a
I
couple of good
guess.
moments, like you said, when he sheds his skin. That's a pretty funny moment.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, in what is an otherwise pretty great film, it's sort of the one downer for me is
Yeah,
Molt. I just didn't really take to him. But
no, that's fair.
luckily, he doesn't take up too much screen time.
No, he's got a handful of lines at best. Like he's not a central part of the film,
Yes, of course.
just to his benefit.
So, with that said, that means that we've pretty much talked about all the main characters. Is there any other characters you want to talk about? Any minor ones that we haven't mentioned?
The only one I can think of is that psychotic grasshopper who's genuinely such a terrifying.
Oh yeah.
But then at the end, where like what's it? Dim stands behind Dot and roars, and then he just gets scared and he like flies off.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a terrifying image as a child.
Yeah.
That
There's also
grasshopper.
the boys that were hanging out with Dot as well.
Oh yeah. The ones that oh yes, the ones that say he's gonna die.
Yeah.
My dad says you're gonna die. It's such a brutal sentence from a child.
Yeah, they were just like really pessimistic to bounce off of Dot's optimism.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, not much to say about them.
And yeah, of course, then there's also the old people as well.
Oh yeah, I like the one with the cane who like makes sexual advances at the Queen. he's quite funny.
There's so many like the humor in this film is actually honestly I think this is one of the funniest Pixar films, really.
It probably is.
Is
It's got a lot of in jokes for sure.
There's a lot, yeah. They really played around with it a lot, and just that whole section with the circus is just gold.
Oh, the circus is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and overall, like we said, the plot there's a lot of really interesting themes around hierarchy. It's very comedically based too. There's a couple of points where it gets a little bit too cliched, especially with the romance subplot.
Yeah. Sure.
The only thing I will say as well is there's some of the pacing is a bit strange, because when Flick comes back with the circus, it feels like there's been not that much time pass.
Yeah, it does feel like he's immediately right back at the colony. There's no like there's not a lot of showing of the passing of time, like because he spent so long getting there. Like how was he so quick to get back, kind of thing.
And then of course they got to spend a lot of time building the bird as well.
Yeah. I feel
and like the plot is structured in a way that works. It's just that I just feel like some of the pacing feels a little bit, ooh, this is a bit weird. Whereas something like, for example, which we'll eventually get to with Finding Nemo, is like the adventure of that film is so well paced throughout, and you actually feel over the course of the hour and a half, it feels like you've gone on this massive journey.
Yeah, I feel like that. Like, not to get too far into Finding Nemo, but I feel like that is like the journey is the destination kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas in Bug's Life, it's very much that you have to get to these plot points. And I feel like I agree with your sense that some of the pacing is weird, in the sense of when Flick is standing up to Hopper and there's this big mounting scene of all these ants finally, standing up to him. But then suddenly it starts raining. It just feels a bit anticlimactic.
Anticlimactic, there you go.
Yeah. I didn't mean that, but
yeah, of course. Yeah, there are some weird corners that were cut in this.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
But I suppose it
wasn't like massively upsetting. I was just a bit like, oh, this is a bit strange.
Yeah, like I suppose it is. I feel like it's almost jarring, pathetic fallacy to show to like go immediately from like a burning bird to rain.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know. It made sense as a kid.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So with that, What was there was I think there might be something else I was going to say about the plot. I can't remember exactly. I was paying quite close attention to the sort of as the plot was going on, and I thought it was pretty sound. Logically speaking, I thought it was really well done, especially considering, with these Pixar films, they have to completely create a world that we don't actually know about. Like, you're anthropomorphizing these things that we don't really understand.
That's the thing about Pixar that I really respect, is that they create so many originals. Like they have to create all these worlds and settle us into them before launching us into the story. And I think Bug's Life does do that well.
Yes. World building is important to these very early Pixar films.
Definitely.
And it's done pretty well for a lot of them, actually. It's one of their strengths for sure.
Definitely.
So with that said, we can sort of move on to the crew.
Cool.
This film is written by John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, Joe Ranft, Donald McInerney, and Bob Shaw. So there's a slight shake-up, but there's quite a few of similar people that worked on Toy Story, especially John Lasseter. He's kind of the head honcho of Pixar. Yeah,
and Andrew Stanton went on to do all those classics. I'm pretty sure he did Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recognize Joe Ranft's name as well. I believe he was part of Toy Story.
Yeah, he was big part early on for sure.
Yeah, so like Toy Story, there was this big ensemble piece for the writing stage, and I think that shows when you got a film that has such a variety of different jokes that take place with all these different scenarios and situational comedy. I think you can understand how it would require so many different writers to get that.
Many different ones.
So many creative minds to come together and think of all these different jokes.
Yeah, I think a larger writing crew doesn't always work, but in this case, with such great names, it works really, really well.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Well, I think, funnily enough, talking about a film that's about hierarchy, I feel like the writing crew on this film had a hierarchy.
It must have, for sure.
Because obviously John Lasseter is in charge of everything.
But
everyone that's below him has like different purposes for being there. It's a writing crew that's structured in a way where they all offer their different roles that benefit the film, rather than every single person having full control and it being a mess.
Yeah, definitely. I think having those people like who can contribute ideas but don't go overboard is really important for creating good dynamics in this film.
Yes, of course. So, and I think they did a pretty brilliant job.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For the most part. And in terms of direction, for 1998, it looks incredible.
Oh yeah. Oh, for like even compared to 1995 with Toy Story, like it's leaps and bounds ahead. Like you could just tell that the technology is ramping up so much.
Like we've already talked about like the design of characters like Hopper and Gypsy, but the scale of the settings.
Oh yeah, especially like when during a couple of flying scenes where they're getting the whole the movement of how fast they're going over these massive landscapes, like that is very impressive. And I love
the way that they used a top-down point of view to show how far down and how wide the whole setting was when they were flying on that dandelion.
Yes,
that's what makes that scene so visually memorable.
It's so visually gorgeous, definitely. It's that dandelion scene.
And the other thing was that they had with the Circus Act, they used human bits of rubbish and they scaled it to what insect size is compared to them.
Yeah, and how the in the bar where the circus crew are, the bottle caps are the tables. And I think that's a great example of what you're saying. Also, I want to point out that in the city scene where Flicks just got to the big city, there is a soda brand called PJ's.
Oh, really?
And
I think I remember that actually. I think I remember that. Yeah.
It always felt really personal to me, and I was always so happy about that as a young lad.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to mention that in this video.
Yes.
Anyway, yes, great direction in A Bug's Life.
Speaking on that, actually, funnily enough, because of this channel predominantly being a Doctor Who channel, something that's really bothered me is that there is no one in the Doctor Who canon with my name. No one.
Really? With
Yep.
Connor?
Yeah, there was no one in the entire thing, from all of the show, all of the audios, all of the comics, all of the books. No one. There is not one character with my name. I can't believe it.
That's really, because like Connor's a relatively common name. Like
Especially
you'd think
in the
it'd be
UK.
there.
Especially in the
Yeah.
UK. Yeah.
You'd think there'd be at least one. Maybe it's coming. Maybe it's the next Absorbaloff.
What's the twin planet of Rex, Icarica, Felibatorius? Clom.
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 Just Clom.
I fucking loved how in bloody, what was it, Journey's End, when they did the big crossover finale in Series 4, how they had, it was like Davros had all the planets together, and the Doctor's like, even Clom's gone.
I actually genuinely remember that.
That, again, like with Heimlich being a butterfly, it's like unnecessary, but actually quite good fan service.
It's good fan service for sure.
Even Clom's gone.
Clom.
Anyway.
Wow.
But yeah, A Bug's Life looks great. It's fantastic, and some of the like not just the CGI, but some of the shots were really well done. Like with the grasshoppers attacking for the first time, the way that they made the bird look massive, that was great.
Yeah, so it definitely looked imposing and intimidating.
Like the way that it was huge, and like I think the scariest thing about it is that its eyes weren't human.
Yeah, they were like half of a nut or something. Yeah,
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking more about like the real one, the real bird.
Oh yes. Oh, they were just like black holes.
Yeah, like they were like, it was like an actual bird, like not a humanized bird.
It was very well animated, but also just very scary.
It was so scary because it was so big and it would move its head so fast. I was actually quite intimidated by it.
Yeah, like the actual movements of a bird. It was really accurate and authentic.
And now you know what it's like to be an ant running away from a bird.
Exactly.
It's terrifying.
You got to put yourself in their shoes.
It's terrifying. And of course, like Toy Story, the music of this film was done by Randy
Newman. Yeah, I do love the theme, I guess is the word, in Bug's Life, and all the music throughout is just it's so fitting towards the themes as they go through.
Well, like I said, with the direction, like there's a lot of those scenes that are also associated with the music, like with the scene where Flick flies the dandelion has a great soundtrack. And
definitely.
Also,
great song.
all the music that's played during the Circus Act as well.
Yes, yep.
It's just so fitting.
Yeah, the use of instruments. I'm pretty sure, like, throughout the Circus Act, there's a lot more kind of brass and silly music. And whereas, like, in more serious, there's definitely more of the strings and the light woodwind, which is very fitting. Yeah.
I just love how Randy Newman, like, despite the fact that these were, like, animated kids' films, he took it, like, so seriously. He's like, no, I want to make this, like, an epic experience, and he really did.
Yeah. He's made so many iconic songs that everyone will recognize throughout all of his career, I guess, at Pixar. Like, obviously, You've Got a Friend in Me. Like, while he might have just thought, oh, it's just a title song for an animated, like a first animated film, like it's an iconic.
It also
Disney
resonates
song.
with the whole thing with Toy Story as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure we talked about that in our Toy Story video.
Yeah. But it's the same here, like, his music in this was just fantastic.
Yeah, the music, hands down, brilliant.
And it is crazy how much a good score can add to something. Like, I've watched scenes from things that I've seen, like films and TV shows that I've seen, where they've ripped the score out and it's just not the same. It's like this empty void of sound. Yeah,
you can tell Randy Newman put in a lot of effort into the soundtrack.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. Do you want anything else to say about the writing, direction, or music?
Not particularly, other than it's done extremely well.
Alright, is it time to move on to the trivia?
Oh, okay. I do like the trivia.
there's that whole blooper section where they actually animated the bloopers. That was quite cool.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I love how they did that with the earlier ones. I think it ended after Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Maybe they did one for Finding Nemo as well. But...
you know the two... Oh, there's that scene with the two mosquitoes that get trapped in the light of the bug zapper. And they're like, Frank, don't go towards the light. That's so good. That was voiced by John Lasseter and Andrew Stanton.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I do like that. I think also that may, correct me if I'm wrong, but that may have been the trailer, that bug zapper may have been outside the trailer that is shown at the end of Monsters Inc., where Randall gets in the wrong door and gets beaten the shit out of. But I like how they do those little callbacks to the other films, and that's what I thought of.
I mean, speaking of Randall, Randall's voiced by Steve Buscemi, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting because I reviewed a Steve Buscemi film earlier in this calendar.
Oh, cool.
And that was Reservoir Dogs. Which is the first Tarantino film.
Oh, the first one?
The first
one.
Wow. Yeah, 1992, I think.
Wow, jeez.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That was a bloody belter of a film, and Steve Buscemi was one of the best parts. He was so good.
He's an incredible actor, and I think he does voice direction really well. But I guess we'll talk about that when we get to Monsters Inc.
Because that film is a heist film where one of the people in the heist is a rat and he's a cop.
Oh,
and Steve Buscemi's one of the characters that it's part of the heist, and he's the anxious character. And he's the anxious character. He's so good. He's like, what am I fucking gonna do? Yo, someone's right here, gonna get caught. It's just he's just so good at being scared. I love him. I love him. I'm amazed by his versatility. He's very versatile as an actor. Yeah. Well, the thing is that a lot of the characters in that film, they're like these big, like gang-like characters, and Steve Buscemi's this like skinny guy. You know?
Yeah, with weird eyes.
Yeah, with a high-pitched like New York voice.
Yeah. He's very good.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Bug's Life.
Back to family-friendly stuff. P.T. Flea is John Ratzenberger's favorite Pixar role, because he says in real life I always get a kick out of those kinds of characters, people that just go into a rage for no explicable reason. He's always on edge. His blood pressure was always way over the top, and everything he did was done in a panic state. So it was a lot of fun to play him.
That's so cool. I'm glad that you can tell that John Ratzenberger is having the time of his life playing that, but it's just really cool to know that that's one of his favorites.
The Pizza Planet van from Toy Story that appears in every Pixar film except for The Incredibles is visible about 25 minutes in, just after the circus scene, as the camera tilts up.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
really cool. I wouldn't be able to pick it out, but I may need to rewatch it just to look for the...
Well, again, like I've seen on this trivia, I mean, obviously this trivia might be old, so I don't know, but I believe it says that the Pizza Planet van appears in every single Pixar film except for The Incredibles.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think even in things like Brave, where it's just like purely in the past, I think it's carved into one of the old woman's carvings or something. It's like Sully.
It's like Pixar's Stan Lee. The Pizza Planet van.
Yeah, and the ball with the star on it. I'm pretty sure that's in every film, or at least nearly every film.
Yes. Gypsy was Madeleine Kahn's last voice role before her death in 1909, which was a year after this movie.
Oh no! Oh, wow. That's rest in peace. She did a very good job. I mean, she didn't say a lot of lines, but she was a memorable character for sure.
This one's also a very bizarre one. The tunnel in a tunnel joke was made in reference to Steve Jobs' plan for Apple's store in a store. And apparently Hopper's hand gestures were modeled after Steve Jobs as well. Wow, very cool. Wow. I mean, I suppose because Steve Jobs was one of the founders of Pixar. So I suppose that would have been more of a personal thing rather than a making fun of Apple kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if Hop had a turtleneck? That would be funny.
And glasses, yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh, that would have been good.
Apparently, it was originally going to be called Bug Story, but then they thought that would be too similar to like Toy Story, like how every Pixar film has to have like this and then story.
Yeah, the monster story and then fish story and then
superhero story, car story, rat story,
Scottish woman story.
Yeah, old man that loses his wife story. I don't know.
Dead story.
Yeah. Global warming story. I don't know.
Wolf. Yeah, it would have got old quick.
Irish woman story.
Yeah, Scottish woman story.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know. I've seen Brave. I don't know which side of Celtic it's on.
Well, that'll be an interesting review then.
Yeah, I've never seen it. So apparently, Molt was created for the film to provide some comic relief out of the more uncomfortable moments with Hopper.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it was added in for that reason. I don't think he was necessary, to be honest.
No, I think Hopper did his job really well as to be imposing, but I suppose for children he may have been too intimidating.
Yeah, but who cares?
Yeah.
It's all about the craft of filmmaking. It's not about a child's money.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, their parents' money, more like. Princess Atta is named after the genus of ant of the same name.
The Atta ant.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Oh.
The fly's
That makes sense.
POV of simultaneous images of Francis yelling at him is seen through his compound eyes and is a nod to the film called The Fly from 1958.
Hey, that's cool. Compound eyes, that was the word I was looking for earlier.
Ooh, now this is one you're going to like. Well, not like, but be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
A similar film called Ants was released 1 month before this one.
It was 1 month before.
Mm-hmm. One of the producers for Ants, Jeffrey Katzenberg, used to work for Disney but left after some disputes. So it might be possible that this man was going to work on A Bug's Life and then he got axed.
Wow, and then he made the film anyway.
Mm-hmm. He made Ants and he thought, we'll release it a month early so we get the money.
But it was significantly less successful and significantly
because
less
what
good.
happened is they probably rushed it to get it in that time period.
Yeah, but then they couldn't have gotten sued or anything for that because...
Of course not, yeah.
Well, no, it would have been too hard to trace, I guess. But wow, that's really interesting, considering that I brought that up as probably one of my first talking points in this video.
This was Roddy McDowall's final film, released 7.5 weeks after his death.
Wow. Who did Roddy McDowall?
Soil.
Soil?
Yeah, so Soil's one of the old ants.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
In the movie's first draft script, Flick was a red ant named Red who was part of the circus gang. Interesting.
Cool. That would have been an interesting dynamic. I wonder how different the film would have been.
Mm-hmm. Heimlich was voiced by Joe Ranft.
Oh, cool.
So one of the writers of the film voiced him.
Yeah, doing a horrific German accent.
It's interesting how sometimes voice actors can just come from the crew.
Yeah, for sure. Because
like,
I know...
What were you gonna say?
You say. No, you go.
I was just going to say, like, the voice of General Grievous in Star Wars is the person who's, like, the sound engineer of the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, they just got the sound, they're just like, they're like, oh, we're thinking of casting an actor, so can you just do the sound effect of General Grievous, like, in your voice? So then he did it, and he did the whole, General Kenobi! And then they're just like, well, why don't you just do it?
That's so good.
Anyway, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was gonna. Mine's way less fun. It was that the director of the Minions movies and the Despicable Me films. His name is Chris Reno, and I know that's because he's got the same surname. Mm-hmm. But he was the voice of all the Minions.
Oh wow! And also, Chris Wedge, who directed Ice Age, is the voice of Scrat.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The like most iconic, but least needing direction character, I guess.
Yeah, well, he's just like, I don't know. He's just the small thing that appears in the films.
Yeah, same with the minions.
Yeah.
Like, they don't need voice direction. They
See,
just
'cause
need
that's
to be
the thing is, like,
stupid.
if you made a scrat film, then it would be stupid, and that's why Minions is stupid.
I mean, minions is stupid.
Yeah. But I bet Chris Reno is absolutely loaded now, because those Despicable Me films made so much money.
Yeah, I mean, and the merchandise off them.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
like he'll be rolling in it for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Woody. Oh, that's right. Woody makes a cameo in the bloopers. I forgot about that.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
I forget what he does in the bloopers, but
Yeah.
I remember it's really out of place and it's quite funny.
Yeah. It's like at the end of The Incredible Hulk 2008 when Iron Man just randomly turns up and he's like, "I'm looking to form a team."
Yeah, but that makes more sense.
Yeah, because they try to build up a shared universe.
Yeah, exactly.
I just
But just
I just remember though, like, I really didn't like that film, and then suddenly he just turns up. I'm like, wow, charisma levels to skyrocket.
yeah.
Yeah. Gypsy is able to fly, but in real life the only male gypsy moths can fly, while females, despite having full sets of wings, cannot. The real gypsy moths also do not have wings as brightly coloured as gypsies.
Wow.
Apparently they usually have white wings with black spots.
I suppose, you've got to take some creative liberties.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what we want moths to be.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
The stereotypical attractive moth.
Speaking of stereotypical, Gypsy's feet are shown to be shaped like high-heeled shoes.
Well, so they really are trying to sexualize a moth.
Yeah, admittedly, that is a bit stupid.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's like how there's this episode of Torchwood with a female Cyberman, but she's half converted and she has like metal high heels. It's so dumb. That's
pretty bad.
Dumb. That episode is garbage.
Oh no.
Like, me and Jake reacted to it and we laughed our asses off at it. It was so funny.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Oh dear. Right. Let's move on down the page. Ooh! This is the only Pixar film released before Disney officially bought Pixar not to have any sequels or prequels announced.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's very interesting. So before Pixar, before Disney, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh. Because obviously there's been a couple without sequels since then, but to be the first one,
it still doesn't have a sequel, does
before. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Although, this is actually something that I did want to bring up in the trivia section, but in the bloopers of Toy Story 2, Flick and Heimlich make a cameo where Flick is like, "I can't believe you've got it, you guys, you've sorted out our new movie. Like, thank you for getting us Toy Story, like Bug's Life 2." And Heimlich's like, so we are in a second movie, but it's not Bug's Life 2. And Flick is like, "What do you mean?" And then he gets karate chopped by Buzz when they're going through the through the trees on the way to Al's Toy Barn. So that is a cool little throwback that they make a cameo in Toy Story 2. So that's the closest I think we're going to get to a sequel of Bug's Life.
Yeah, I don't think it's really needed, to be honest.
No, it's a good standalone.
Yeah. Apparently Ashley Tisdale tried out for Dot.
That would have been funny trivia.
But she still made it as part of the lead Blueberry Scout.
Oh, that's cute. I like, because she would have been young at the time. She would have been
definitely
very young. So yeah, that is a cute piece of trivia that Ashley Tisdale's in Bug's Life.
Due to complex animation algorithms, none of the ants in the colony look the same.
Wow.
Well, that's a good thing.
That is a very good thing. They are at least somewhat distinguishable.
Grossed almost double the amount of rival production ants.
Wow.
Yeah. The grasshopper Thumper is named after Thumper from Bambi, who is also one of John Lasseter's favorite characters.
Oh, is Thumper the evil one?
Yeah, I think so.
I suppose so. Yeah.
I haven't seen Bambi in ages, but I remember really liking it.
I liked Bambi. Yeah, for sure.
It's like an old Wall-E in terms of like there's not much dialogue. It's all very action heavy.
Yeah. Bambi also has a really great soundtrack. I will say.
It's a really like heart-wrenching ending.
Oh God, yeah.
Especially for the time.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
like The Lion King was 1994, and that
Yeah,
is the heart-wrenching
yeah.
bit with Mufasa. But with Bambi, that was old. That was old.
That was. Oh God, that was very
old.
very
I think
old.
it was like 50s or 60s. I think.
I was gonna say 50s. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a look actually. 1942.
42. Jesus.
That was during the war.
During the war.
Wow.
I mean, at least it would have provided some sort of relief.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose the kids those days would have been less jaded. Or more jaded. More
I
jaded.
don't even know. I mean, all the kids that were that were kids during those days that I've asked about it, they're just like, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a long time ago.
Very long time ago.
Mm.
Apparently, Tuck and Roll are Hungarian.
Hungarian. It's actually good to know that what language they were speaking. Cool.
Ants have 6 legs,
Mm.
but to make them appear more likable, the Pixar animators gave them 2 arms and 2 legs. Because they're like more similar to humans that way. The grasshoppers, in contrast, were designed to be less appealing, so they were given extra appendages.
Wow, that's pretty funny. They gave the ants limbs to the grasshopper.
Yeah, and also Tuck and Roll only have 8 legs, whereas woodlice usually have 14 legs.
They're woodlice. Okay. Interesting.
Oh, that makes my skin crawl.
Yeah, I hate that.
The thumbtack Tuck and Roll is standing on is the red tack that fell off the pictures in Andy's room in Toy Story. Oh
That's
my god,
cool.
that's crazy.
That's such an obscure piece
Honestly,
of trivia.
when I saw that thumbtack, I'm like, I've seen that somewhere. I've seen a thumbtack somewhere. I don't know where it is.
That's so obscure, but I love it.
I love the way that this all takes place in the same universe.
Yeah. There's so many good little Easter eggs.
Oh yeah, there was a Wilhelm scream in this film.
Where?
A worker ant screams the third scream when the grasshoppers invade the colony.
Oh my god, I've never picked that up.
Jack Black was considered for the role of Molt.
Yeah, that would have been understandable.
That would have been better, probably.
Probably. He would have done a good job of it for sure.
It would have stood out a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
First Pixar film to not have humans. How many Pixar films don't have humans?
Don't have humans at all.
Yeah, this is definitely.
God. Oh God. What was? I was
Cars?
just literally just
Cars
thinking
doesn't
of
have
one.
humans
Yeah,
in it,
Cars.
It's just Cars, right?
Yeah, Cars doesn't have humans in it. I think most of the rest of them do. Good Dinosaur does have one. Yeah, the Cars trilogy. I think everything else does have humans.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. From all that I can think of, like Wall-E, Ratatouille, Monsters Inc. Yeah, Up.
Oh wow.
Monsters University might not,
Ooh,
but I'm not sure.
that's a good point, actually.
Yeah. It's something to look into, for sure.
Apparently, Richard E. Grant was considered for the role of Hopper as well.
Oh, okay.
I've reviewed a few things with Richard E. Grant on this channel, actually.
Oh, yeah? Anything I would have seen?
Well, you wouldn't have. I don't think you would have seen Logan. That's an X-Men film.
No.
And he was in The Rise of Skywalker, and it's a Star Wars film.
I haven't seen that either.
And he's also been in Doctor Who episodes you haven't seen. What else has Richard E. Grant been in?
I don't know.
He's been in a lot. Like, he's been in a lot of things.
The name rings a bell.
Yeah, he's one of those, like, old British actors that's in everything.
Mm.
He's like one of those, like, he's always one of the secondary villains of everything he's in, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh god, he was in the Nutcracker? What the hell?
Okay.
He's in Garfield 1 and 2. He plays Preston.
Preston.
Yeah. He's in Corpse Bride. He plays Lord Barkis Bataan.
Oh, I love Corpse Bride. Tim Burton, yeah.
Downton Abbey, apparently.
Oh, okay. Very British of him.
And he's been in Game of Thrones.
Very British of him.
Well, to be fair, Game of Thrones is actually American, but it has British actors in it.
Yeah, yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but he's been in a lot of things. Oh, Hopper is the first Pixar character to die, I think it says. Or Pixar villain, at the very least.
Wow, the first one to proper die.
Mm-hmm.
What about Combat Carl in Toy Story 1?
Does that count?
I don't think so, but I just thought I'd pick him up on semantics for this.
Lest we forget Combat Carl.
Rest in peace, Combat Carl.
I think that's all the trivia.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you have any trivia that you know about the film that we haven't mentioned?
Well, my one was just that Toy Story 2 one.
Yeah.
But that's all I can remember.
All right. Well, this will be interesting. Give your conclusion and a rating out of 10 for A Bug's Life.
In conclusion, A Bug's Life is an incredibly powerful thematic film done extremely well for Pixar, especially in 1998. Visuals for what they were stunning. Direction, music, characters, very well built. I stand by my opinion that it is very underrated as a film, especially in the Pixar, because a lot of films like WALL-E and Ratatouille and Up get so much praise, whereas Bug's Life, you don't really see a lot of it. I think it deserves more. And I think for a rating, it's definitely not my favorite Pixar film, but it's definitely one that I would continue to rewatch. So I'd probably give it a solid 8.
All right. Yeah, A Bug's Life is an underrated film. I think to bounce off what you were saying about its how it compares to other films like WALL-E, Ratatouille, Up, and all that. The reason why I don't think people may not remember this as one as well is because a lot of the themes in this film are quite subtle. They're very you really have to be like paying close attention to the plot to really pick up on them. Whereas in something like WALL-E, it's just blatantly obvious what the message is. I think that's probably why it goes over a lot of people's heads. But it is really well written. It's a really underrated, well written film. The way it looks for 1998 is astonishing. It might just be because I watched the Blu-ray version of it, but I feel like overall it
does make a difference.
It makes a difference, but I think like overall, even for the time, the design of it is fantastic. Most of the characters are really good, and the plot works, and it's really funny. Like, it's one of the funniest Pixar films, and I was pleasantly surprised at how good it really was. And like you again, like it's not one of my top favorites, but it's definitely a very underrated film. And I think we may, when we get through all the Pixar films, when we eventually review a bunch of them, I might break some hearts putting A Bug's Life over a couple of the popular ones, to be honest, because it really is that good.
It needs to be done, I think.
So, I think your thinking on this was actually quite good. I'm going to also give this an 8 out of 10. Really solid film. It's not perfect. There's a few things in it that aren't particularly great. There's a few characters that are a bit undercooked, and that whole romance angle could have been better. Some of the pacing's a little bit off, but minor criticisms for what is overall a pretty great film.
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty great. With that said, that means that when we eventually pick up Pixar again, it'll be Toy Story 2.
I'm so looking forward to that.
Which I'm really looking forward to. I haven't seen it since I did that double viewing with Toy Story 1 and 2 that I talked about last time we did Toy Story. And
wow, that's a long time ago.
I'm actually really looking forward to this one, because this is, of the 4 Toy Story films, this is the one that I often remember the least about. I do remember scenes.
Interesting.
I remember scenes in it. I obviously remember this is the one where Jesse gets introduced, and it's also the one where there's all the Buzz Lightyears in the shop.
I love that
love
scene
that.
so much.
But it's the one
Yeah.
that I think I remember the least about, so I'm really looking forward to watching it because I want to see it again and fully remember what the whole film is. Oh, and of course, Zurg! Zurg's in that one.
Of course, Zurg's actually in that one.
Yes, of course.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. That's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, so, yeah, that'll be great. So, for Pixar, the next time we do it, it'll be Toy Story 2. Really looking forward to that. And we sort of, from there, like, from that film onwards, we really, like, hit the peak of Pixar, I think. Like, when they just really hit their stride, and it's just banger after banger after banger.
Yeah, for sure.
Until you get to there's a
some
point,
of the sequels.
There's a point where it gets a little bit shaky, but the next few are just incredible stuff. Including one of them that has that word in it, which
is one of the best ones.
Oh boy,
yeah.
Boy, do I love that one.
It's the only superhero film that I will say I genuinely love, I think.
Honestly, like I've reviewed so many superhero films on this channel, and there's some that I absolutely love. Like, honestly, Infinity War, Civil War, Logan, Spider-Man 2, Into the Spider-Verse. There's a whole bunch of them that are brilliant. But The Incredibles is also a brilliant superhero film as well.
Yeah.
In its own right.
It's so good. I can't wait to review that one as well.
Yeah, of course. But next time we have Toy Story 2, which I'll be looking forward to. And in terms of the advent calendar, tomorrow will be day 13, which I should probably forewarn everyone is a live stream. So
wow, exciting. Tune in, everybody.
It will be a live stream. So there you go. Anything else you want to say before you finish the video?
Thank you for having me. Let's not wait another year to do the next one.
No, I'll try and keep this semi-regular if I can.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good.
Because it's actually quite fun talking about this stuff.
It is. I love Pixar films.
Absolutely, and I just, again, watching this film again, I was really shocked at how interesting, like, the deep, like, borderline, like, political themes they got in a film that's meant for kids about ants, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I highly doubt that the DreamWorks film would have anything like that.
No. I highly doubt. I haven't seen it in years. I saw it once and it was uninteresting.
The closest they get to that talking about hierarchy is being stood on by a shoe.
Yeah, I think they literally get squirted by water guns or some shit.
Oh, garbage. Anyway,
I know.
Thanks for joining. We'll see you all tomorrow for day 13.
Bye.